The Hero Missile Cluster. A simple but potentially very effective tactic. The name doesn't really describe it well, but I didn't know what the hell to call it. So let's just get stuck into it. So when being approached by enemy infantry, send your lord or hero charging into them by themselves and let them take on the world. And while all those units are stuck there, hammer away at them with some kind of missile unit. It's pretty much as simple as that. The thing about this is that friendly fire is a real thing, so if I engage these units with one of my infantry units and try to shoot the enemy unit that's engaged, I'm going to be shooting over my own unit's head and potentially do a lot of friendly fire damage to them. If you use a lord or hero, because they're one small character, a lot of the missiles will miss and hit all the enemies around that character. So you'll do minimal damage to your own guy, but because he's managed to get all the units clustered around him, they're all in a tight space all together, it means your missile units won't really miss, and they'll just do an absolute ton of damage in a short space of time. As we can see, this lord here, he's been fighting 2 units of orc boys, and they have been absolutely destroyed by the iron drakes. One of them's off, nearly dead, the other one's wavering now, and he has taken very little damage at all. You can see, barely lost any health. So all this fire has barely touched him, but has roasted most of the orc boys. The Thane has had a little bit of a tougher time on the other side because he has been fighting the enemy lord, but he is still holding some units around. Of course they may just run past you and keep going, but that will just usually mean some free kills. I've got torpedo iron drakes firing at this one. Not the best matchup for them because they're better against cavalry and heavily armoured cavalry specifically, but any kind of AoE, typically explosive missile, is going to be great for this. The same tactic can apply to just regular missile units though. Tightly packed bunched up units of enemies will get absolutely slaughtered by a barrage of missiles, especially if you've got a tank like the Green Knight holding them in place. Do try to get good matchups though to increase your hero or lord's survivability. If you've got a heavily armoured hero, don't send him to fight an armour piercing unit, etc. Regardless, it is a bit of a suicide mission, so do be careful with this tactic. It can be very useful in sieges to increase the amount of time that towers have to fire at the enemy. You can use magic AoE spells, they can do a hell of a lot of damage, and of course, artillery loves firing into crowds also. You can see this Empire captain here, he's been messing with 3 units outside the walls, and they're about to waver before they've even reached the fight. On top of all that, he's barely lost any health. So use your single characters to bunch up the enemy units, and then fire on that massive crowd with whatever kind of ranged capabilities you've got. There's always a chance that the enemy will just run straight past you though, so don't expect it to work 100% of the time. And that is your hero missile cluster. Can be a very strong tactic indeed, on or offline. The AI will very often buy it, and it can work against human players if they happen to miss what's going on, so experiment with it and see what you can do. Thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed this. I will see you in the future.